How would you like for your efforts to actually go farther and matter in the gym? If you can feel it more, then you can grow it more. This is going to be the best side glute warm up routine you'll ever need. If you're feeling stiff, or if you're sluggish before workouts, or if you're not feeling the muscle engaged or firing when you're actually doing your workout, stick around because I'm about to show you some game changing moves. So feel free to follow along this video. Make sure you rewind it to where I started. This is to really show how it should not take any more than 10 minutes to do a warm-up routine. Your muscles should be more than ready at least 5 minutes or at most 10 minutes, especially when you are getting all the vital parts that you need to warm up. So this move that I'm doing right now is a hip flexor stretch. And the best way to feel it as much as possible is to make sure that you are pushing your hips into the stretch. And as you lean backwards, you are reaching forward to your toes so that you can feel that stretch in your hamstrings as well as your calves. And this is going to be excellent for when you're getting into the Bulgarian split squats moves or anything that requires single leg movements. This will help with strengthening that range of motion. So as you get deeper into the movement, which the deeper you get into a movement, the more stretch you'll feel, the more muscle that you'll be able to break down and regrow and all that good stuff. Long story short, the more strong and flexy you are, the more you're going to grow. So this will help with that as you push down into the stretch and really feel the pull. And the reason that I'm not doing a static hold stretch is because that could overstretch muscles and potentially cause some injury. And this is specific to when you're lifting weights. Next, this is a deep squat with a thoracic rotation. And this is super good for people that sit for extended amounts of times. It really relieves the lower back and it feels amazing. And when you do it deep enough, you might hear a little pop, which is kind of satisfying. And the best way to do this is to make sure you sit in a deep squat position and just gently, ever so slightly, make sure that you're pushing out your knees so that you can feel that stretch in your groin, and then rotate your torso, reaching one arm at a time upwards. If you can't reach that far back, it's totally fine. The more you do it, the farther back you'll reach back, of course. So just go as far as you can just to feel the stretch and you're good. All right, so this next move is a donkey kick and fire hydrant combination. Now, huge disclaimer, you do not have to do it the way that I'm doing it here. You could simply just send your leg back to do the donkey kick, and then you can send your leg to the side to do the fire hydrant movement. But in this particular situation, I just connected the two as like a rainbow style of moving my knee, mostly because it's reminiscent of a closed gate dynamic warm-up that I used to use a lot in the past. So this is pretty much just the kneeling version of it that I'm doing, and I'll put it on screen if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's this right here. But nevertheless, it is a great way to get your gluteus medius and minimus activated. After some momentary confusion, we're going to roll right into the 90-90 stretches. And these are super good for opening up your hips. And for those that sit for extended amounts of time, this one is going to be for you. So starting with sitting on the floor with your knees bent at 90 degrees, as you lean forward, bringing your chest over to the front leg and laying yourself as close to the ground as possible. Now, of course, as you do it more, you'll be able to get lower and lower and sit more comfortably in this. But for now, I'm doing these pulsing movements to keep it dynamic so that I'm not overstretching, but bringing in the range of motion that will be needed so that I don't feel tight when I'm doing movements. You'll also notice that the more you do this, the more stable you're going to feel as you are doing any, like, per se, single leg movements like Bulgarian split squats, or if you're doing single leg RDLs, you're going to feel much more solid in that foot driving the movement or driving into the ground. You'll feel more secure. So I'm rocking my knees back and forth and still trying to maintain that 90-degree angle in my knee. But this also helps deepen the stretch a little bit more. But, not overstretching it because it's dynamic. But these are, again, game changer for those that sit extended amount of times, or if you want to just open up your hips in general. So towards the end of this session, I go for a foam roller because we're going to be doing a couple things with it. First, we're going to be starting out with a hip flexor exercise. And again, for those that sit for extended amounts of times, this will be excellent to do. This is a little bit harder, in my opinion. There is an easier version where you can just lift your knee up and down off the ground as your knees bent in a 90-degree angle. But in this case, I'm bringing it around from the ground. And this is just a little bit more intensity to strengthen the hip flexors. But to begin with, I just sat on the ground and I just worked on bringing my legs up and off the ground in circles. And this really helped progress my ability to train my hip flexors and get them stronger much faster, because it was such a concentrated exercise. From there, I was able to easily move into that kneeling version of a hip flexor exercise that you just saw. And now for foam rolling, which is a very overlooked part of the warm-up and cool-down routine. And surprisingly, it is often done incorrectly. Most people just roll on over it as if they're like trying to iron out their muscles, but that's not necessarily the proper way to do it. It's meant to be used on the point of tension and help relieve it by putting pressure on it. And as you lay on it, or as you put pressure onto that muscle, it helps relax it and release the tightness that's around it, and thus giving you some more ease, some more flexibility, and some more relief. So with all that in mind, this works excellent for warming up your muscles because of that, and it's also a great cool down to prevent soreness from intense workout sessions and whatnot. I'd say the most essential spots to get with the foam roller in my warm-up routine would be my hips. The gluteus medius and the gluteus minimus muscles are in dire need of this foam rolling, especially since now that my routine has more of a priority to these muscles. They tend to get, worked a little bit more, and in turn, they get fatigued way easier. So, giving them a little bit more attention and love in terms of recovery and preparation can make a huge difference. And I just continue to do this until the 10 minutes is up, and then I'm ready for my workout. Like this video if you found this helpful, and see you in the next one.